The $5 meal is back at McDonald's. And people got weirdly emotional about a cheap little combo, posting tributes like an old friend had come home. Here's the twist. McDonald's prices are up about 40% since 2019. The cheap place isn't so cheap anymore. The dollar menu days feel like ancient history. So in 2024, McDonald's basically panicked and rushed out a $5 meal deal to win you back. The king of value was suddenly scrambling for value, which is strange. Why would the biggest restaurant on earth fight so hard to sell you something cheap? Cheap things are supposed to make less money, not more. The answer hides in who actually owns your McDonald's and how it really makes its money. Which, it turns out, is almost nothing like you'd guess. Let's unwrap it. First, a question almost nobody asks. Who actually owns your local McDonald's? It feels like one giant company, but it isn't. About 95% of McDonald's are franchises. A franchise means a local businessperson bought the right to run that one restaurant. They own it, like running their own small business under a giant golden sign. They pay for the staff, the food, and the famously broken ice cream machine. And they keep the profit or eat the losses from that one store. So McDonald's is really two different things. The giant corporation and thousands of individual owners.
Hold on to that split.
It is the secret behind almost everything that follows. To really get this, rewind to the 1950s. A salesman named Ray Kroc is turning McDonald's into a chain. But selling 15-cent burgers barely makes a profit. Then his money man, Harry Sonneborn, spots the real game. He reportedly told investors, "We are not in the burger business. We are in the real estate business." The plan was simple. McDonald's buys the land and the building, then lets a franchisee run the restaurant on it. The franchisee pays McDonald's rent, often marked up, plus a cut of every single sale, forever. The burgers were almost a side hustle. So from the very beginning, McDonald's was quietly a real estate empire in a clown costume. And a landlord wants one thing above all else: the building full. Now, how does the corporation make its money? Here's the surprise: mostly not from selling you burgers. McDonald's corporate is, weirdly, a landlord. It owns or controls the land and the buildings. Every franchise owner pays corporate rent, plus a slice of their sales, every single month. So corporate doesn't really care about the profit on one burger. It cares about traffic. Lots of people, lots of stores, lots of rent. And right there is the tension. Corporate wants you in the door. The owner has to make money once you're there. Two very different goals. Which brings us to the cheap menu. Here's the secret. The cheap item was never meant to make money. It's bait. Its one and only job is to get you to walk in. Because once you're inside, you rarely stop at the cheap thing. You add fries, a drink, maybe a McFlurry, maybe a pie for the road. The burger itself might earn almost nothing. Sometimes the chain barely breaks even on it. But the fries and the soda? Those are nearly pure profit. Shops have a name for this: a loss leader. Sell one thing cheap to make your money on everything else. The $5 meal isn't generosity. It's a fishing hook with a bun on it. And once you can see the bait trick, you start spotting it everywhere. Costco sells a hot dog and a soda for $1.50, the same price since 1985. They lose money on it on purpose, just to pull you inside. Free refills on soda? That soda costs the restaurant pennies. The generous, bottomless cup is one of the cheapest ways to make you feel like a winner. The movie theater just flips it around: a cheapish ticket, then eye-watering popcorn. Same idea, mirror image, get you in, then make the money. Costco, the cinema, McDonald's. One cheap, famous item, quietly doing the work of pulling a whole crowd through the door. and the bait works on your brain. One famous cheap price makes the whole place feel cheap, even when half the menu quietly isn't. So you come back more often. And you bring friends, because it's the cheap place, right? Each visit you spend a little more than you planned. That cheap anchor quietly pulls the whole basket up. The $5 plan becomes a $12 tray. Multiply that by millions of visits a day. And one cheap burger becomes a money machine, humming along on fries and fountain soda. And McDonald's has played this exact game before. Rewind to 2002 and the legendary dollar menu. A whole menu where nearly everything cost a single dollar. It was bait on an industrial scale, and the crowds came pouring in. But $1 in 2002 is not $1 today. As beef and wages climbed, selling anything for $1 became impossible. So the dollar menu slowly died. $1 became $2, $3. Then it quietly vanished altogether. The $5 meal is really just the dollar menu, reborn for an age of higher prices. Same hook, bigger number. So, why the sudden panic in 2024? One word, the same one squeezing all of us: inflation. The cost of beef, labor, and rent all jumped. So menu prices climbed, about 40% since 2019. Suddenly, the internet was flooded with photos of $18 Big Mac meals, in total disbelief. The magic feeling, this place is cheap, broke. And lower-income customers started staying home. McDonald's sales actually slipped. For the king of value, that is a 5-alarm emergency. The whole brand is built on being the cheap, reliable option. So McDonald's slammed the panic button. Back came the $5 meal deal, then a whole McValue menu. The goal was never to profit on those meals. It was to get the crowds walking back through the door, scanning the app, forming the habit all over again. Rebait the hook. Bring back the feeling of cheap. But this is where it gets messy. Because somebody has to actually pay for cheap. And it is not corporate. It's the person who owns your local store. Remember the split? Corporate wants the cheap deal to pull in all that traffic. But the franchise owner is the one who actually sells it at almost no profit. So the owners push back. Their own group said the $5 meal simply couldn't last without corporate chipping in. It's a tug-of-war over one cheap burger. Corporate pulling for traffic, the owner pulling for profit. And in 2026, corporate pulled harder. It started grading franchisees on how much value they offer. Score badly on value and you could face penalties, even lose your restaurant. The cheap burger had become a loyalty test. So, here's the real takeaway. The cheap burger was never actually cheap. And it was never really about the burger itself. It's a tool, bait, to fill a building that a landlord corporation rents out to thousands of small owners. That value war you keep hearing about isn't kindness, and it isn't really about you. It's a tug-of-war between the company that wants you in the door and the owner who has to foot the bill for getting you there in the first place. So next time a $5 deal feels too good to be true, it isn't really for you. It's for the door and for the landlord who owns it.